Hi, my name's Mark. I'm one of the pastors here at Trillium. Have you noticed that there's a lot of misbehaving dogs out there? Or is that just me? My suspicion is that there's a lot of you who will also agree with me. There's misbehaving dogs in unfortunate numbers. And I think ultimately this misbehavior in dogs extends from owners who don't really know how to train their dogs because they're too caught up in the dog's momentary best happiness and not looking at the dog's longer term best interests. In a sense, we elevate our dogs into almost human status for ourselves. We give them human attributes and we get detached from how dogs really function in life. That's one of the things my wife, Sally, noted to me coming from South Africa. In South Africa, dogs are still dogs. But in Canada, it seems dogs have almost been raised to human status in life, in families. And one of the problems of that is dogs aren't human beings. They're amazing animals, but they're not human beings, and they don't really respond like human beings do. Like, for instance, I was reading that you have 1.3 seconds to affect a dog's behavior before they won't make the connection. So a dog pees on your carpet, and you got to get over there in 1.3 seconds with the reaction or the consequence, or they're not going to make the connection with your response. They'll just look at you as an angry owner, mystified by what has upset you. To make that connection between their behavior and the consequence takes 1.3 seconds. And I find that kind of a staggering realization. Some of the times I've been upbraiding my own dog makes me realize I've just been punishing her because she doesn't really understand or make the connection between what she did and my response to it. And as I say, a lot of the times when we raise our dogs, we're caught up in trying to be kind to them in the moment, and we miss out on their long-term best interests, being kind down the road. And this is not just true for dogs. I think this is true for how we relate to each other generally, especially raising our kids. I think so many parents today are caught up in their children's momentary best happiness. They want to affect short-term kindness on their children. And when their children experience hardship or difficulty in life, the parents rushing in to get in the way of that, to take it upon themselves. Even when the child's own conduct is what caused them the hard times, there's the parent rescuing the child from the natural consequences of their actions or words. And what happens is that the child doesn't make the connection. Just like the dog doesn't make the connection with your carpet, the child doesn't make the connection between their actions or words and the reaction that comes. And therefore, they don't learn in the way that they need to. We're so caught up in the child's short-term best interests that we're not looking out for their long-term best interests. We're affecting short-term kindness and ultimately imposing upon them long-term cruelty. Came across a wonderful quote from Ann Landers, the advice columnist from many years ago. She said this: "It's not what you do for your children, but what you have taught them to do for themselves that will make them successful human beings." Which means effective parenting is about standing back sometimes and allowing your child to experience the hard times that they maybe brought upon themselves or were forced upon them, and allowing the child to figure out how to make sense of what's going on in their life. We're not abandoning our children when we do that. We're walking alongside them, but we're allowing life's consequences to impact them and help them change and adapt themselves and to learn and grow in life. And it's not just with our children, it's with each other. And the scriptures make it clear that that's how God relates to us. When we talk about salvation, God is not rescuing us from the hard times or intervening in the difficult moments to take it upon himself. God is, in a sense, walking alongside of us as a perfect parent, encouraging us to lean into the hard times, to embrace them and embrace the learning that comes from them, to grow and adapt as we make our way through life. And not only does God relate to us in that way, we're actually called to relate to each other as followers of Christ in that way too. Not rescuing each other from natural consequences, but nonetheless offering companionship and friendship through the difficult times. It's amazing what happens in those moments. We go through the hard times. We adapt ourselves to the realities we find. We grow, we learn, we move forward, and we find a blessing in life for ourselves because we are now growing to that mature being that God has created us in likeness to.